You're staring at your phone for the third time tonight, and the silence is deafening. Just 2 weeks ago, she couldn't stop texting you. The conversations flowed effortlessly, the energy was electric, and you were convinced this was finally different. Then something shifted. The replies got shorter. The excitement vanished. The warmth turned cool, and now you're left replaying every conversation in your mind, desperately searching for the moment you messed everything up, haunted by the ghost of a connection that once felt so alive. Here's what's eating at you. You don't understand what changed. One day she's fully invested, asking questions, sharing laughs, making future plans, and the next, it's like you're talking to a completely different person. The emotional door that was wide open now feels bolted shut. And the worst part? She won't tell you what went wrong. She just disappeared emotionally, leaving you with a confusing blend of silence, polite distance, and unreturned energy. But what if I told you this isn't about you making a single fatal mistake? What if the real reason women lose interest has little to do with one wrong text, one awkward date, or one mismatched expectation, and everything to do with invisible psychological and biological forces that most people never understand? What if her pulling away was not a judgment of your worth, but a natural, predictable response to specific emotional conditions? By the end of this video, you'll see exactly why that shift happened. Not through guesswork, but through the lens of attachment science, neurochemistry, and social psychology. More importantly, you'll learn how to build connections that don't crumble the moment the initial spark fades, but instead evolve into something secure, lasting, and mutually fulfilling. Now let's go deeper into what you don't realize is happening beneath the surface. What you experienced wasn't personal rejection in the way you think. It was something far more predictable, far more universal, and far more fixable. The secret is that romantic attraction and sustained interest don't operate on logic or even conscious choice alone. They operate on emotion, instinct, and deep-seated neurological programming. And emotion follows patterns, rules of engagement, that most people never learn to recognize, leaving them confused when the initial magic dissipates. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal 3 core psychological mechanisms that explain why interest can fade so suddenly and seemingly without cause. First, you'll discover the neuroscience of emotional predictability and why your brain's well-intentioned attempt to create security and consistency can accidentally extinguish the very attraction it seeks to nurture. Second, I'll show you the psychological paradox of overinvestment and why giving too much too soon, often seen as romantic, creates invisible pressure and obligation instead of genuine, relaxed connection. And third, you'll learn about the hidden communication and perception gap that makes her emotional withdrawal feel like it came from nowhere, when in reality, it was a slow-building internal process you were never privy to. These aren't pickup artist tricks or manipulative tactics. These are clinically and scientifically studied principles of human attachment, dopamine regulation, emotional processing, and interpersonal dynamics. And once you see them clearly, you'll not only understand your past experiences, but you'll gain a new lens through which to build healthier, more resilient relationships in the future. Let's start by defining the core concept that governs much of this process: emotional value. Think of it like this. Every interaction you have with someone deposits into or withdraws from an invisible emotional bank account. When you first meet someone, that account isn't just open. It's full of potential energy, mystery, anticipation, curiosity, and positive projection. You're both making deposits through shared laughter, novel experiences, and mutual discovery. But here's what makes early romantic connections so fragile. That account doesn't stay full just because you're a good person, you have good intentions, or you care deeply. It stays full only as long as the emotional experience between you remains dynamic, reciprocal, and somewhat unpredictable. Dr. Helen Fisher, a biological anthropologist at Rutgers University, has spent decades studying the neuroscience of attraction. Her research reveals something fascinating and crucial. In the early stages of romantic interest, the brain experiences a significant surge of dopamine, the neurotransmitter most associated with reward, motivation, craving, and focused attention. It's the same chemical activated by gambling, creative flow, and achieving a goal. But here's the critical, often overlooked part. Dopamine doesn't respond most powerfully to reward itself. but to the anticipation of reward. It thrives on novelty, uncertainty, and the challenge of a puzzle not yet solved. When the brain can perfectly predict the next interaction, when the mystery evaporates, when there are no more emotional or experiential layers to uncover, dopamine production drops. And when dopamine drops, so does the feeling of excitement, motivation, and that can't wait to see them buzz. This is why intense attraction can feel like a switch that flips off seemingly overnight. Because neurologically, that's often exactly what's happening. The brain has categorized the experience as solved and moves its attention-seeking resources elsewhere. Now let's break down the 3 primary mechanisms that trigger this neurological and emotional shift. Mechanism 1. The trap of emotional predictability. Here's how it works, step by step. In the beginning, every text notification, every conversation, every moment together feels like unwrapping a gift. You don't know what she's going to say next. You don't know how she'll react to your story. Your brain is actively engaged in a delightful process of discovery and pattern recognition. But then, subtly and often with the best of intentions, you start to become predictable. You always reply within 5 minutes. You always initiate the good morning text. You always agree with her opinions. You always use the same tone of eager approval. You always make yourself available at her convenience. You stop sharing unexpected thoughts or spontaneous ideas. While this behavioral pattern feels to you like being a caring, attentive, and reliable person, and reliability is crucial later in established partnerships, your consistent behavior is actually sending her subconscious brain a very different message during the attraction phase. It's saying, puzzle solved, data pattern complete, nothing new to discover or anticipate here. The emotional experience becomes flat, like a song on repeat. Let me give you a concrete, real-world example. Imagine the texting dynamic. She sends you a message. You reply instantly, with enthusiasm. She sends another. You reply instantly again, maybe with a question to keep it going. On the surface, this feels like engaged connection, and it is, in the moment. But neurologically, over time, it creates a flatline emotional experience. Her brain isn't getting the tiny, addictive dopamine hits that come from anticipation, from wondering when you'll respond, from the slight uncertainty that keeps the cognitive engines engaged, from the feeling of looking forward to a reply. Now compare that to someone who is genuinely engaged but also internally secure. They might reply in 20 minutes or 2 hours because they were immersed in work, a hobby, or friends. Their communication rhythm is variable and tied to their real life, not to the phone. That person unconsciously creates space. And space creates curiosity. This isn't about playing hard to get in a manipulative sense. It's about being genuinely engaged in your own life. This is the core science of emotional stimulation. Predictability feels safe on a conscious level, but it can starve attraction on a subconscious neurological level. Healthy, attractive uncertainty, the uncertainty of, what amazing thing will we do next? Not, does he like me? Keeps the brain engaged and invested. Mechanism 2. The paradox of overinvestment and the pressure of imbalance. This mechanism is profoundly counterintuitive because everything in our romantic culture, from movies to love songs, tells us that caring deeply, showing immense effort, and prioritizing the other person above all else is the ultimate path to connection. And it is, but only if it's balanced, reciprocal, and emerges naturally over time. The key is self-containment alongside care. Here's the psychology. When you invest too much emotional, temporal, and psychological capital too fast, when you make someone the center of your emotional world before a foundation of mutual commitment has been naturally established, you create invisible pressure. Not intentional pressure, but psychological and emotional pressure. It's the pressure of imbalance. She senses, often at a gut level, that you need her reaction, her validation, her presence more than she needs yours at that stage. She senses that your happiness and self-worth are becoming dependent on her responses. She senses that the relationship has become emotionally heavy and high stakes before it's had time to build the strength to bear that weight. Dr. John Gottman's decades of research on relationship stability identify this as a critical factor in pursuer-distancer dynamics. one of the most common corrosive patterns in relationships. Healthy bonds form when both people maintain their own emotional center of gravity while gradually and voluntarily building a shared space between them. But when one person collapses their emotional center into the other too quickly, sharing their deepest insecurities, abandoning their hobbies, letting their social circle wither, texting incessantly, it triggers a natural rebalancing act in the other person. The more one pursues for connection, driven by anxiety or idealization, the more the other distances. Not out of malice or game playing, but because her nervous system is intuitively trying to restore balance, autonomy, and breathing room. The connection starts to feel like an obligation, not a choice. Let me illustrate how this plays out in a modern dating scenario. You meet someone. The first few dates are incredible. The chemistry is off the charts. So, riding that high, you begin to text her all day, every day. You share your deepest life philosophies and childhood wounds by date 3. You start making tentative future plans for months ahead. You introduce her to your best friends as someone special after 2 weeks. You clear your calendar proactively in case she's free. You remember every minor detail she mentions and bring it up constantly to show you listen. All of this feels, to you, like love, like enthusiasm, like showing her how uniquely important she is. But psychologically, unless she is moving at the exact same frantic pace, which is rare and often unhealthy, it's creating a subtle feeling of overwhelm and smothering. She didn't ask to become the architect of your happiness. She was just enjoying the slow, exciting process of mutual discovery. And now, suddenly, there's this unspoken weight, this expectation, this sense that she is now responsible for your emotional state. So she pulls back. Her pullback is not a rejection of you as a person, but a self-protective adjustment to an emotional environment that began to feel constricting. Mechanism 3. The hidden communication and perception gap. This is the mechanism that makes the end feel so sudden, so confusing, and so out of the blue. Here's the brutal truth. By the time she articulates a change in feeling, the decision has often been made internally long before. Research in communication psychology and gender socialization, while acknowledging these are generalizations and not absolutes, shows that men and women are often taught different languages of dissatisfaction. Men are frequently socialized to externalize conflict, to address problems directly, to talk it out, to fix issues through overt dialogue and solution-oriented conversation. Women, on the other hand, are often socialized to process emotions internally first, to avoid direct confrontation to maintain harmony, to test the waters with subtle cues, and to only vocalize a problem once they've fully understood their own feelings about it. This means the timeline of the breakup exists on 2 parallel tracks: her internal processing track and the external relationship track. While she is inwardly noticing waning excitement, feeling the pressure, or wrestling with doubts, she may still be showing up for dates, replying to texts, and even being affectionate. She's giving the connection a chance, trying to see if the feeling returns. To you, everything seems fine on the surface, perhaps just a little off. But inside her, the emotional ledger is tipping. By the time she finally says, "I need to talk," or "I just don't feel a spark anymore," that emotional shift is the conclusion of a slow, internal journey you were never invited on. This gap is why so many men feel blindsided and claim they never saw it coming, because the external signs didn't match the internal reality until the very end. Now, let's connect this understanding to the real, profound suffering it causes. Because this isn't just about dating dynamics or simple rejection, it's about self-worth, identity, and our fundamental need for secure attachment. When someone pulls away without a clear, logical explanation, when intense interest evaporates and you're left in an emotional vacuum, it triggers something deep and primal. You don't just miss her. You start questioning your own reality, your perceptions, and your value. The mind spirals. Was I too boring? Too nice? Too available? Too emotional? Not emotional enough? Did I share too much? Not share enough? The paradox is that you'll likely never get a clear, satisfying answer, because even she might not fully understand the complex web of feelings that led to her change of heart. She just knows the feeling is gone. I've worked with countless individuals who carry this confusion like a ghost for months or years. They replay the relationship in their minds on a loop, like a detective at a crime scene with no clues. They lose confidence in their social instincts. They become guarded and performative in future interactions, trying to be a perfect version of themselves, less available, more aloof, terrified of making the same mysterious mistake again. This is the hidden cumulative cost of not understanding the underlying psychology. It's not just about losing one person. It's about your sense of certainty in connection itself becoming fractured. It can lead to a defensive, transactional approach to relationships that undermines the very authenticity needed for real connection. So, what is the path forward? How do you internalize this knowledge not to become manipulative, but to become more secure, attractive, and resilient? How do you protect your peace and build better connections? Let me give you a practical, ethical framework. Think of these as 3 psychological shields you can build starting today, not to keep people out, but to ensure you build connections on a foundation of health and mutual respect. Shield number 1, cultivate intentional space and autonomy. This is the practice of maintaining your own life, interests, and rhythm, especially when you're excited about someone new. This doesn't mean playing games, deliberately ignoring messages, or feigning disinterest. It means having a genuine, compelling life outside of the budding romance. Psychologically, this does 2 powerful things. First, it keeps your own emotional center stable and independent. You are not collapsing your identity into the us before an us truly exists. Second, it creates natural, healthy anticipation and value. When you're not perpetually available, your time and presence become a conscious choice, not a default. Every interaction carries more weight because it's not a guaranteed constant. Here's how to implement this practically. Keep your regular gym schedule or training routine. Nurture your friendships and see them consistently. Dedicate time to your creative projects or career ambitions. Don't cancel long-standing plans just because she might be free. Don't let your phone become a leash. Respond when it's convenient and thoughtful, not instantly and reactively. Live your life with her as a wonderful potential addition to an already full picture, not as the missing centerpiece of an empty frame. Shield number 2, practice the discipline of matching investment levels. This is a masterclass in emotional intelligence and observational skill. It requires you to pay close, non-needy attention to how much someone is investing in you. Emotionally, in terms of time, communication effort, and vulnerability. And to consciously stay roughly in that same range. If she texts once a day with substance, match that energy. Don't reply with 5 rapid-fire texts. If she's sharing fun, surface-level stories, don't pivot abruptly to your deepest childhood trauma. If she suggests meeting up once a week, don't push for 3 dates in 7 days. This isn't about being cold or withholding. It's about respecting the natural, organic pace of connection and building a reciprocal bridge. Attraction and trust deepen in stages. Trying to skip stages, to force premature intimacy through over-disclosure or over-availability, creates that exact overwhelming pressure we discussed. It signals a lack of social calibration. Let the relationship develop at a mutual speed. If her investment level is consistently low, that is valuable data telling you this might not be a match, saving you from deeper heartache later. Shield number 3, build curiosity. Through depth, not dependency through validation. Shift your focus from seeking to be liked to being someone genuinely interesting and interested. Instead of being the person who constantly gives compliments, agreement, and validation, which can become cheap and predictable, strive to be the person who asks thoughtful questions, creates memorable shared experiences, and maintains an authentic sense of your own mystery and growth. This doesn't mean being secretive or aloof. It means understanding that true attraction is fueled by the gradual discovery of depth. Don't lay your entire life story, all your achievements, and all your fears on the table in the first 3 dates. Let someone discover you slowly, in layers. Have passions you can talk about with light in your eyes. Have opinions. Have a life that generates its own stories. Share things gradually, creating a narrative thread she wants to follow. Most importantly, commit to being a lifelong learner and grower. People are irresistibly drawn to depth they haven't fully explored yet. to a story that feels like it's still being written with or without them. Underpinning all three of these shields is one profound, non-negotiable principle. Develop unshakable emotional self-sufficiency. Your happiness, your sense of worth, your core emotional stability cannot be primarily outsourced to another person's attention or approval. You must cultivate multiple, robust sources of meaning, purpose, and joy that exist independently of any romantic relationship. Your mission in your career or creative pursuits, your deep platonic friendships, your physical health and fitness, your hobbies that bring you into a state of flow, your commitment to personal and spiritual growth. When you have built a life that feels full, challenging, and meaningful on its own, a romantic partner becomes a wonderful enhancement to an already complete picture, not a prerequisite for your happiness. This shift in energy, from needing to wanting, is palpable. People can intuitively sense the difference between someone who is emotionally self-sufficient and someone who is looking for another person to complete them. The first is attractive, secure, and inviting. The second, despite its romantic presentation, can feel suffocating and burdensome. Let's recap the three most important transformative truths you must take away. Attraction isn't just logical, it's neurological. It runs on dopamine and associated neurochemicals that crave novelty, challenge, and anticipation. The very behaviors we associate with being good, constant availability, total predictability, can, in the fragile early stages, inadvertently starve the attraction you're trying to feed. Overinvesting too fast doesn't prove your love. It creates invisible pressure. Healthy, lasting connection forms when two whole people choose to build a shared space between them, not when one person enmeshes themselves into the other's world prematurely. Pace is a component of respect. When someone pulls away, it's rarely sudden for them. It is almost always the final, visible step in a slow internal process of evaluation you weren't aware of. Understanding this communication gap removes the sting of shocking betrayal and replaces it with clarity, allowing you to learn and move forward without debilitating self-doubt. Here is your transformation. The person you were at the beginning of this video, confused, hurt, replaying conversations, searching for flaws, questioning your fundamental worth, is not the person you are now. Now you understand. You see the invisible forces at play. You recognize the patterns, not as personal failures, but as psychological principles in action. You know that when interest fades prematurely, it's often not because you're fundamentally flawed or unlovable. It's because the delicate, unconscious conditions for sustained attraction were disrupted, often by well-meaning but misapplied behaviors. And with this understanding comes immense power and freedom. The power to build connections with awareness and skill. The power to maintain your emotional center in the storm of early-stage dating. The power to walk away from imbalance with clarity rather than crippling confusion. The power to create relationships based on mutual choice, healthy principles, and genuine compatibility, rather than on anxiety, neediness, and performance. This journey is about moving from being a passive subject of romantic chance to becoming an aware, secure architect of your own relational world. It's about trading confusion for comprehension and anxiety for assured action. If you want to continue understanding the hidden forces that shape your relationships, your emotions, and your journey to self-worth, subscribe now. We deliver a new, deeply researched psychological insight every week to help you navigate the complexities of human connection. In the comments below, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced this sudden shift in someone's interest? What did that experience teach you about yourself and about how you build connections? Sharing your story not only helps you process it, but it helps others watching feel less alone in their experience.